The enemy wants you fighting. Before you click off, I am not Christian. I don't follow any religion. So, if you are a non believer or you're considering believing, just stay. Okay? I'm traumatized by the Catholic Church, just like the rest of you. We're all moving on from that. Okay? They made us hate Jesus for no freaking reason. He's so cool. Anyways, the enemy wants you fighting. What do you mean, Mick? You sound crazy. You sound like the crazy Christian lady talking about the enemy. What the fudge? What is this? What is that? Let's talk about the enemy. The enemy is a darkness inside of you that looks for darkness outside of you to convince you to stay in darkness. It's not woo woo. it's not like the little devil on your shoulder, unless you want to picture it like that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's easier. It's none of that. It's your own psychology. It's your brain. It's your psychology because brains are taught to find things that they recognize. And if your brain, and this is proven through genetics, that we actually carry on trauma. Our brain recognizes trauma that's from our parents and our grandparents and generations previous. So we're looking for fear because it's what we know. And we're in this space right now where we're having the option. We've always had the option, but I'm seeing more and more people waking up to it of choosing. Do I want to see the fear? Our brains are conditioned to see what they recognize. Confirmation bias, right? And so that enemy that these Christians are talking about, the devil, you're gonna go to hell. Hell's right here. It's right here. You get to choose. You get to choose between heaven on earth or hell. That's what it's handed to you right now. Every day you get the choice. And when you dip your toe into those fucking steaming, pardon my language, into the steaming depths of hell, which we all do, we all hit those points. You realize, oh, no way do I want to be here. No, I don't want to be here. Of course, you don't want to be here. Nobody wants to be in that place. When somebody stays in that place, it's because the enemy, the psychology, is winning. Thought is winning. Patterns, old beliefs, inherited beliefs are winning. So, when I say the enemy wants you fighting, the enemy that's inside of you, the darkness that's inside of you, wants you to be in fear. It wants you to run from it. It wants you to be running so you can never catch your breath, so you can never know what peace is. And I'll tell you where the enemy shows up externally is in marketing, it's in politics, it's everywhere. Anywhere where somebody wants power over you, they will wave their magic fear wand in front of you and make you fear. Because they already know, what are people afraid of? Scarcity, right? That's the biggest one. Lack of love, feeling unaccepted. Companies, politicians, governments. Unfortunately, a lot of very popular life coaches, they use that darkness inside of you to manipulate you into giving them power. What does power look like? It's not just a position of power. It's not just saying, like, well, government gets to pick what I do because they're the government. Yes, that is a form of power that you give away. It's also your money. Toilet paper. We have this many this many pieces in ours. We have this many pieces in ours. We wipe up a million times better than like the Bounty commercials. We wipe up a like some absurd number amount better than the leading store brand. Yeah, blah blah blah. They're literally making the choice for you. They're making that conscious choice for you. You fear not being able to wipe up in one sheet. You're going to have to use like 7 sheets and it's not even worth your money anymore. They actually made you fear something small. It's a silly, insignificant example. They made you fear that. And it pushes you to purchase the the, the better paper towel or whatever. Um, the toothpaste commercials, 9 out of 10 dentists recommends this one, but only 8 out of 10 recommends that one. I'm afraid my teeth are going to fall out. Medical companies, not going to go too far into that one. If you know, you know, but they will make you fear things so that you use their products, so that your government will buy their products. That goes deeper, and I'm not going there today. This shows up everywhere. This shows up like 2 people running for office and don't vote for this person because they're going to do this. So you're actually just afraid. You're running from their opponent into the other person's arms. It's not about you actually wanting to vote for that, because I've never heard a person actually be completely liberated by who they voted for. Like completely, fully. There's always a couple of policies that they don't love, but they're running from the other one. It's perceived power. You're handing it over to them, right? So this psychological warfare is happening around us all the time. Music, depressing music that keeps you locked in, so you keep going back to the same artists. There's a time and a place to listen to sad songs. I'm not saying it's bad, but remember that it's just feeding the darkness inside of you. So using it for an awareness of darkness, great. It's a tool to be aware of your darkness, but remember you are light. Okay. Maybe I'm getting off track. So this is what darkness is, and this is how it shows up. Now, I'm going to talk about Jesus. Don't don't be silly about it, okay? I I am against most churches. I am against most organized religion. I think that's another place where there could be psychological warfare, because religion often is more about power and separation rather than freedom and unity, right? So most churches and religions I don't endorse. There's a few churches local to me that are beautiful, very inclusive, and I love them. Um, but in general, I am not a big fan. So, with that preface, sorry for yapping. Jesus. Sorry to bring him into it. No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I love Jesus. I recommend watching The Chosen. If you're not into reading the Bible, that's totally fine. But if you're not into any of that at all, just listen to what I have to say, and then we can just move on from it. Jesus tells his followers, once there's too many miracles, Jesus couldn't possibly go around and spread the news fast enough. So he tells his followers to put down their weapons. They are not going to take any armor, no guards, just 2 by 2. Sends them off to different villages to heal and to perform miracles. And at the time, uh, the political landscape was really heating up, and it was dangerous. When Jesus would go out and perform miracles, they would get run out of cities and this, that, and the other by by the Pharisees and the Romans and everything, right? So it was dangerous, and there were some towns that were more accepting and other towns that weren't. But he told his followers go with no protection, just the protection of God. So this is a bold proclamation. This is it, by all intents and purposes, based on our psychology, we look at that and we think that's not safe. Why is Jesus doing that? Why is Jesus doing that? Because when you proudly proclaim your faith in God and you go about the world in a godly manner, in a peaceful manner, knowing you're protected, and then trying to make the world a better place, there's no reason for fear. And that's what he was showing, not just his followers, but everybody who was following his followers. Okay, so Jesus is merely just a story to put God into perspective. It's just to put God into perspective, whether you believe he was actually alive or not. Metaphors are very helpful in understanding abstract comment. Metaphors are very helpful in understanding abstract concepts. So try not to deny that. If you're denying it, that's fine. You don't even have to be here. Or you can stay. Actually, I don't mind. Stay. It's fine. So that's big. That was a big proclamation. For a lot of us, obviously, most of us, if you're watching this video, you have access to YouTube. You're probably not living in the most physically dangerous circumstance, if we're being fair and honest. So it's psychological warfare. We are under attack constantly from external things that want us to feel disempowered. So that's not a problem, right? Because darkness will always exist. In, excuse me, in every religion, in every spirituality, in every belief, even in atheism, right? Darkness exists. Jungian psychology would be the shadow. Darkness always exists. If we don't sit with the darkness and face the darkness so we know what it looks like, so we can recognize darkness and light, we're always going to be running. But that darkness will always be there. So how do you live if that pain will always exist? What do? You turn to God. You cast your fears unto the Lord. You don't want to say that. That's fine. You could. Now this is challenging and it does not usually work. We've been there. We've all tried it. You could try to convince your psychology that there is light. You're always going to be playing catch up. So once you see darkness, it's like you have to pick up a lightsaber fight it off with your light. And it's not the same as casting it to the side, right? Because you're still in a state of warfare by trying to use your psychology to handle this darkness. A really interesting one that personally I struggled with, which is what led me to Jesus. But everybody's different. And so I love and celebrate that everybody is just going to do things differently. I think that's super cool. Not everybody needs to follow Jesus. Then Jesus would even say so himself, right? He just wants you to know that you're loved. Anyways, manifestation. Neville Goddard, Bob Proctor, those sorts. I do think that there are bigger ones that are the enemy, but we'll get into that another day. Living in the end, assuming it's done. How do you do that? Let's say you just assume you're a millionaire. What would you feel like if you were a millionaire? What would you feel like if you were, I don't know, a teacher? That's what you want to be. You're manifesting. What would it feel like? How would you feel manifesting from that place? You get into the feeling. You try to exist in that feeling for as long as possible. And when you slip out, you try to come back. And when you slip out, you try to come back. And that is the exact same thing as the relationship to God, to Jesus. In my opinion, always coming back to God is actually just the easiest, but if it's not for you, I'm really not here to like slam my dogmatic beliefs down on you. I don't think that's useful because a manifestation was a part of my journey. Um, Tarot is a part of my journey. I still love to pull out my tarot cards and have fun. I think Jesus would think that tarot cards are funny and silly. I think the problem that Jesus would have with those sorts of things is handing your power over to it, which is again a type of psychological warfare, which is why it's dangerous to live in that, because if you're not very hyper aware of the darkness inside of you, you will find the darkness in those cards, and then you'll actually victimize yourself. You'll be like, oh my gosh, this bad thing's gonna happen, and then it happens. But if you use tarot and you're like, oh, I'm feeling this bad thing, and you empower yourself, it can be done. But I think tarot victimizes a lot of people, and so I do think that those things are challenging without the faith of a true spirit, a true God that always wants the best for you and would only show you darkness to pull you closer to the light, never to pull you deeper into darkness. Um, I am rambling. This is going to be a long video. Oh my God, will anybody watch this? If just one person watches this, I'll be grateful. I wrote notes because I lose track. um, there's people. Maybe I should break this up into multiple. I didn't think it'd be so long. Yeah. In another video, I'll talk about what happens when people don't believe their whole life. Um, it's an interesting concept, and I think that it's something that a lot of the very dogmatic believers struggle with. They're like, you have to believe, which is so silly. Um, anyways, so all I'm going to say, I'm going to leave you with this, is that choosing peace is the key. Trying to battle thoughts constantly will not work. It won't work. You'll get tired. That's not peaceful. Fighting thoughts isn't peaceful, right? So don't try to fight your thoughts. Choose peace. Choose something to believe in. Remember that anything that's darkness outside of you is showing you darkness inside of you, but it doesn't mean that you are that darkness. And in saying all of that, choose kindness in a world that feels harsh. Choose openness in a world that feels closed off. And choose mindfulness in a world that feels so automated. That's all. That little devil on your shoulder, your negative mind, it doesn't matter what you call it, right? It really doesn't. It wants you to stay in fear. It wants you to hurt. Be kind to yourself and to others. I love you. You got this.